Okay, I'm gonna be real honest. I saw the title of this and I was then done. I was then projecting all of my thoughts of what this was gonna be. The fell when she spoon and like a BB moment, which is like a beautiful black moment. Did we get any of those in this episode?
Black.
We have a chaotic vibe moment of the
Chaotic vibe moment. And you're watching Black by Reality.
Black by Baddies.
And those who love us. Hello, it's been a minute. I'm Nicole Weaver, your host of Black by Reality, a place for Black by Baddies and those who love us. I'm here to talk about this very, very early Sex and the City reality show news. And just because we're gonna be a minute until we get season 3 of And Just Like That. So why not discuss, theorize, put in our 2 bits. I'm back with Quita Tinsley, they, them pronouns, and Quita was here for our And Just Like That finale, and we covered Love is Blind together. So Quita knows reality TV. This is the person who needs to discuss this with me. So hi, Quita.
Hey there.
Hey. First of all, it's been such a minute. Like, what's been going on with you since we last talked?
My God, living in this hellscape that we call life. Yeah, just working in my day job, doing consulting work, and then also have been like dreaming up some creative endeavors that I want to explore in the new year.
Love it. Love it. We're all gonna probably have new things going on in the new year. So
Yes.
like that. For me, it's been a hot second, especially like I was covering Big Brother and then it turned into the jury interviews and then you just didn't see me. I was like throwing those interviews up. But yeah, for you guys who are watching, I've been good. I've been really busy, but I am absolutely still keeping this channel and this podcast alive. Please follow the podcast on wherever you listen to your podcasts. Rate it 5 stars. And of course, you can always see our beautiful faces and what other GIFs and jokes I like to include on YouTube. So, we are here today because Variety posted the news that there is an unscripted dating show based on Candace Bushnell's Sex and the City book being developed. So, titled, Is There Still Sex in the City? Sure, that's a long ass title. My already note is let's edit.
Brevity.
We need hashtags that don't look wild. And Just Like That is already throwing me for a loop with the character count. But yeah, so it's gonna follow 4 friends in their 50s as they navigate the immersive dating experience in a love do-over where they trade in their busy city lives for a dating utopia. They'll live together in a cozy country chateau where they have their pick of a different group of men in each episode. They'll try the boy toys. Blah, blah, blah. Sample a senior age player, be romanced by the rich guys. I want to know where they're finding these rich guys.
Right. How rich, and also how rich are we talking?
How rich are we talking? Because like we never assigned a number to Big's bank account, but it seems infinite, and I know we're not getting infinite.
Right. Because also it's like, is Harry rich? But Harry's definitely not big rich, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, he's a lawyer.
right.
Decent income. Yeah.
Right.
Even that house or the apartment that they're in is not from his salary.
Right.
He's staying in a house that another man bought Charlotte.
Right.
So yeah. Yeah. So even get to flirt with their fantasy men, but in the end, who really steals their hearts and who will our ladies be able to bring the sex back to the city? Okay. That is a description. What are your first thoughts?
I think my first thought is we're in the era of like dating shows are getting older as
Mm-hmm.
our demographics get older, right? So I just
Mm-hmm.
think of like the Golden Bachelor, like, we're all getting older and it's just reflecting. I mean, this has always been true, right? But like older people date, but we just like ignore that older people date and have sex.
Mm-hmm.
And we just act like, especially if they're not married, right? If they're single and like dating, we just
Yep.
act like only 20 and 30 something year olds and maybe 40-year olds date. But
Mm-hmm.
like if you're
Mm-hmm.
50 plus, that doesn't exist for you. So I'm excited to see this show. I think maybe the Sex in the City thing, I'm like,
Okay, I'm gonna be real honest. I saw the title of this and I was then done. I was then projecting all of my thoughts of what this was gonna be. The fact that they're not even gonna be in the city, in a country house,
right.
we're really stretching. We're really stretching like the connection of Sex in the City to this. And them being in their 50s is going to be interesting. It should be shown. The Golden Bachelor was a huge hit. Um but it's not necessarily Sex in the City. Like, even when I was like looking up things for this episode, there's an episode in just like season 2 when it's about women in their 20s versus women in their 30s, and they're in the Hamptons. Like,
Hmm.
it was very specific about the 30s. That's like the weird in between stage of how people view women. It's like, now and it's so annoying. 30-year-olds are like, oh my god, I wouldn't think you're 30. I get that a lot, and it's like,
Hmm.
what do you think is 30 supposed to look like?
Right.
But so yeah, I think it's a little bit of stretch. Obviously they're not gonna slap And Just Like That on it, because And Just Like That gets so many opinions and strong, but it's closer to And Just Like That than Sex and the City.
It is. And I think that is the thing where I'm just like, Sex in the City fans are already feeling so many types of ways with
Mm-hmm.
And Just Like That. And to
Mm-hmm.
again have some type of spin-off, like different variation of Sex in the City, I'm just like, leave them people alone. Let them
Mm.
watch reruns or like look at like old episodes of Sex in the City, and we can just create cool things that are like touching on themes that come up in the show, and we don't
Mm-hmm.
have to make it thematically called Sex in the City. Like, can we just
Yeah.
let it go?
Yeah, it's gonna have to be very much that generation focused, in order for it to maybe feel at least a little bit like Sex and the
Right.
City.
Or they're gonna have to
Like,
like go full throttle, like really honing in on Sex in the City, like nuggets and things, to really make it feel like Sex in the City.
yeah, yeah, I agree. All right, so moving on. What do you think is necessary for this show to make it actually feel like Sex in the City?
Yeah, it's like they're gonna have to like go back deep in the archives and like pull things that like only not true, but like people who love Sex in the City will like pick up on, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, pulling out date moments and like setting that up for contestants, or like having like guest stars from like from past seasons, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and not in Just Like That, while
Yeah.
I love in Just Like That for what it is on its own, if we're calling this Sex in the City, you're gonna have to really pull on folks from Sex in the City.
Yeah. Yeah. That I agree. I agree, and I actually got a list of like people I want to see. I even like
Mhm.
looked at what the cameos on Sex and the City were, but it's always a question of like, Hollywood still looks down on reality TV, so it's like, who would actually acknowledge. And yeah, right now in the last season of Van Just Like That, we got some Bravo stars in
Mhm.
it. So it's like, maybe pouring in from that well. But yeah. All right. So for me, I I think the women need to genuinely be friends.
Mm.
And that doesn't often happen. Like, if you really think about it, really good reality TV zeroes in on like an already existing friend group,
Mhm.
like that has its own culture, its own language. It all feels lived in. There has been reality shows like the one that's like Love in Paris, where it was like, I think literally four women who went to
Mhm.
Paris searching for love, and they
Yeah.
were becoming friends during that
Mhm.
process, but it's just not the same as why we really loved Sex and City, and it was the friendship.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes, and because I'm thinking about, like, Real Housewives, right? Where they want the viewers to believe that cast members are already friends,
They love doing that.
but the moment something comes up, it quickly becomes obvious that, like, these people are not that
Yeah.
close, they don't have deep bonds with each other. Yeah, and I think, like, you're right, like, the thing about Sex and the City is, like, these 4 friends who've been through so much together, right? Because even
Mhm.
when you're, like, plopped into the first episode of Sex and the City, it's not this, like, intense recap of all their friendship that you haven't seen, but
You're
you can
just dropped in.
yeah, you just feel that these 4 women are close friends, right?
Yeah, yeah. And you just get little tidbits of where they even met. Like we just don't
Mhm.
know. And okay, so the reality show I did previously mention, it was Love Trip Paris. So
There yes.
very good. If you've never seen it, it
Mhm.
actually has a trans woman also as one of the
Mhm.
stars and like a gay it was so gay. I loved it.
It's so good.
But yeah, back to Sex and City. Yeah, genuine friendships. And I think it's possible. I think women who are in their 50s easily have stayed friends with people like for so long. Like they just don't lose touch as much, I
Mhm.
think, as our generation.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I do feel like there is, especially if these folks aren't currently married, right? I feel like when you are single, like prioritizing your friendships and going on girl trips and doing these things become just so much easier to do. And so I
Mhm.
feel like there definitely has to be like a group of women that are friends that can do
Yes.
this together.
I think a given is that the friends also need to be eating together.
Yes.
They need to be going out, having their ladies who lunch moment, and dishing on the dates that they just had.
Mhm, mhm. They have to. I mean, that's literally Sex in the City.
Like we didn't feel like and just like that was giving Sex and the City until they had a brunch scene. It was
Mhm,
wild how much that made a difference. Um, I think there needs to be good fashion, and I think the one perk of having an older cast is hopefully they have more disposable income
mhm, mhm,
and will be bringing us some kind of fashion.
mhm, mhm. Exactly. I guess I'm, like, so curious. I'm like, if they're not in New York City, will it make sense, you know?
But okay, it kind of sounds like they're getting New Yorkers,
Yeah.
taking them out of the
Out
city,
city.
and the
Okay.
whole thing is like they're gonna go back.
Right.
Who's the person they're taking back, which is
Yeah.
so weird. But also probably keeps the price lower if not actually filming in New York City. But it's like
True. So true.
you can't have New York City without the city. Um, but yeah, I would assume they would have good fashion, and I also need someone to have unique fashion because
Mhm.
Carrie is like a true hit or miss every single episode, but she takes wild swings, and I need one of them to take a wild swing.
Right. Right. I and I'm like, I'm curious, I'm like, do we often see that type of fashion on reality TV? Because
Selling Sunset.
you're right, you're right. I was like, do we see I'm like thinking of the housewives and I'm like,
No,
"Oh,
no.
like"
They're
yeah,
like it also really depends. Like Beverly Hills, obviously got the
right,
money, are doing
right,
things. But yeah, if we're talking about wild swings, it
yeah,
was Selling Sunset. And
for sure,
again, all of
for
the
sure.
girlies are now bringing purses that aren't purses, but props to Christine Quinn who actually started that.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
um, next, I want a star who has Samantha Jones energy.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it might be kind of hard.
Mhm.
It might be, but
Are you wanting, like, the 4 of them to clearly be relatable to the characters, or is it just like, we
I
need a
don't.
Samantha?
I
Okay.
think we need purely a Samantha because that's the biggest gripe with And Just Like That, right? Is like
Mhm.
we got all the girls back together, but Samantha brought a certain oomph. And
Mhm.
that oomph, a lot of people would be like, it's the goddamn sex. She was
Mhm.
the one who was like shamelessly open about her sex life, was the most adventurous. Carrie over here is going to be a prude. Charlotte, she has probably fucked as many people as Samantha, and yet she still has the air as if she's a prude. Miranda, she always acted like, well, I could just replace men with a vibrator. Now she's finally getting it in with like the they thems and being like, oh, this is what it was always about. But like,
Right.
I just need a Samantha because
Mhm.
honestly, the rest of them are so much easier to find. If you can
Right.
find a 50 something Samantha type and who the hell she's like hanging out with, and you know that would be a fun friend group.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna need that because it's like the reality TV, if you don't have a big personality,
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to get bored too,
Very,
right? Like, we're
very.
gonna need that Samantha.
Yeah. And let's be honest, Sex in the City, the men are like not as important as like the friendships and like the personalities of these women. Like
Mhm.
when I started thinking about date ideas, I was like, honestly, I don't think of the dates. You think of like the conversations between the women. So
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
what they're up to. But but yeah, I still have some requests though when it comes to the men.
Mhm.
So I need one of the guys. Oh, I need one of the ladies' exes to be involved. Like
Ooh.
with a little bad boy or mysterious energy. Because I'm thinking big. It's annoying. It
Mm.
really is, but it's like that would be very interesting.
Right. And I feel like it's often common, right? Like,
Yeah.
especially for folks who've been married and get divorced, there's usually an ex,
Mm-hmm.
from the past.
Oh, the 50-year-olds love hopping on Facebook, honey. They
Yes.
love looking at the high
Yes.
school Facebook group
Mhm.
and being like,
Mhm.
I wonder what little Timmy from chemistry
Yes.
grew up to do.
Yes. Oh my
So,
gosh, yes.
yeah, that
Or
would be
like
very
how
interesting.
Carrie did with Aiden and Just Like
Yeah.
That.
Yo, she said, big kick the bucket. Let me see my other option. Let me
Spin the
spin the
block really
block.
quick.
Yes. And I think it is actually a very honestly common thing. Like, people don't want to try no more. They're going to
No.
go back that old date book.
Right.
So, all right. Another interesting suitor, I think, is like, can we get a retired baseball player? Because Carrie
Mm.
dated a Yankee. She dated
Mhm.
the new Yankee. That would
Mhm.
be really
Mhm.
fun.
Mhm. Right. Yes. That would be fun. Yeah, and I'm like, I'm sure there's a lot of, like, athletes in New York. Because
Mhm.
also, Samantha dated a basketball player,
Yeah.
and, Miranda dated the basketball medic or, like,
Right.
whatever. So it's like athlete.
Yeah. At which I feel like every reality show tries. So I'm sure
Mhm.
they're already on that. That's what I got for what it would how we can make a reality show feel like Sex and the City. Is there anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I think just, like, it has to be fun. Like, even though they're older, like,
Yeah.
it can't be, like, like, buttoned up and, like, like, they have to be fun, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, that is the magic of Sex and the City is they're just,
Yeah.
like, fun.
I mean, hate or love her, and I'm not a fan of her, but like a Ramona Singer on Real Houses of New
Mm,
York City. It's
mhm,
like that kind of vibe of like
mhm,
truly party girl.
Mhm.
Like, it needs to have that. I honestly, if they could bring back their original freaking theme song, pay whatever you got to
Mm.
pay
Mhm,
and
mhm,
give us a little jazzy opening
mhm.
credits, like,
Yes. Mhm,
please. That
mhm.
you already are dropping us into the world with that. Um,
Right.
anything else?
No. I'm like, "Well, what if they did do it in the Hamptons? That'd be cute."
Okay, and I was getting there because my next question is, are there any iconic Sex and the City moments you hope they recreate? One of mine was maybe just do a simple Hamptons beach date. The ladies go out to the Hamptons in season 2 when they're talking about women's in their 20s versus 30s, and like
Mhm.
they're not on a date, they're hanging out around 20-year-olds who
Mhm.
are buck wild, but it's
Right.
like that would give something.
Right. It, like, touches on the show, and it's like, um yeah, and I'm like, even if you aren't, like, a fan of Sex and the City, if you're a reality TV fan, then there are a lot of other shows that film in the Hamptons, right? So it's, like,
Mhm.
something that you may be already kind of familiar with.
Yeah. Yeah, and hopefully they're alone instead of going with a married couple and the man just decides to show someone a penis.
Right. Like, how are
Poor
you
Carrie.
up in the morning butt naked? Like, please put some clothes on.
Just drinking coffee and being like, "What?" And then the wife, when she tells her, is like, "Oh my god," as if he has done this a million times. Like, what?
Ma'am. Ma'am.
Ma'am. And you just stop talking to your friend? Like, what?
Right.
Because your man's trifling?
Right, she told you, which means she has respect for you and
Yeah,
also felt uncomfortable, so
but
get your
now
mans.
but now she's embarrassed, so she can't show her
Right,
face anymore. Now you know my man's trifling. Uh,
right. Ah.
another idea is that I think there should be a cooking together kind of date.
Mhm.
Now, Big, honestly, Big was trifling. Big created the whole Netflix and chill because he was not taking Carrie out a lot of the time. He was like, "Oh, I'll cook you something at home," and Carrie was like, "Oh my god, this is so romantic." And it's like he
Mhm.
never wants to be in public with you.
Right, and the one time he did take her out, it was at the Chinese spot that, like, people were
She
like, "This
know
is where I take dates I don't wanna be seen with."
she was like, "Wait a minute, what? What is this? What? What is this?" Like, you know what it is.
Right, you already know.
So yeah, we need to do a cooking together kind of day. Um, and I was like, hey, as we're talking about take me out to the ball game, maybe just film at a ball game.
Mhm, mhm. Yes.
Probably wouldn't be major leagues because we know how these reality shows do. Probably gonna be like a little local
Right,
baseball, but you know what? The four ladies and how they hung out
right.
there.
That's all that matters.
That's all. Friendship. That's all that
Right.
matters.
Right, but I mean, I guess it also depends on who picks it up, right? Like like whatever network picks it up determines how much money they'll be willing to spend on it.
Right. That's very true. We only have a production company, Bunham and Murray Productions.
Oh, wow.
So
Classic.
yeah, it'll be very, very interesting to see where it goes. All right. So next, is there any shot in hell that any of the actors from the original show will make an appearance?
I feel like it'll probably be people who are willing to do it, and just like that, it'll be some of those folks might be willing to do the reality show.
Interesting. I think, and maybe I just like really buy into her like hype and love of the franchise, but I think Kristen Davis, maybe like one
Mm.
episode, like
Mhm.
she kind of
Mhm.
gives like maybe she would. Um,
Right.
here's my question: where the hell is Jason Lewis? Jason Lewis is Smith Jared. I know
Yeah.
you're not that busy. Like,
He might be one of those types who he's like, I retire from Hollywood. I live a simple life
no,
now.
I looked up his IMDb. I think he is like, of course, doing like romantic roles, but they're just like
Mm.
smaller or just somewhere I don't know where they are.
Oh,
But
wow.
I need him. I need him to be part of this. I feel like
Mm.
it's just the right, and maybe it's just hosting a date, you know?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but that would be so very interesting
Right.
if they included him. But that's the only two I could realistically see. Like Samantha Jones would be amazing, but it's like she's so I'm past this.
Right.
I gave you that little cameo where I sat in a car and there was a green screen behind
Right.
me.
Literally done. And
Done.
yeah, I don't envision Sarah Jessica Parker also doing
No.
anything. Maybe like, you know how sometimes on the reality shows, like celebrities will like record a video of themselves and like send it
Yep.
in. She might do something like that.
That's
Maybe.
true. And that would be amazing, honestly.
Right.
If
Right.
I was one of those girlies, I'd be like,
Right.
oh
Gosh.
my God. Okay. Yeah. So who do you think should host?
Hmm. I mean, I feel like it's like while in my heart, I'm like, I would love someone from the show to host. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna have to be someone relevant to today,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
My first pitch is Andy Cohen.
Mhm.
I don't think Andy Cohen's above it.
Mhm.
He's friends with Carrie or
Mm.
wow, Sarah Jessica Parker. He
Yeah.
like, and he's so New York. Like
Mhm.
it's the girlies would love it. Like, yeah,
Mm.
I think that's one. And then for two, I'm actually gonna throw in Nikki Glazer.
From Broad's
So
no. Nikki, who is that?
So she hosts F Boy Island and she does a fantastic
Oh.
job. F Boy Island is such a good, funny show. Uh, the guys apply either as an F boy or a nice guy, and the three female stars have to like figure it out, but the whole time like Nikki's cracking jokes at every like little
Mm.
situation. She makes fun of the men. She gives to me, she gives sometimes Carrie, except well, she would do puns. I think she does puns. Carrie's
Mm.
like, I'm gonna do a pun for the haha hee hee. So so it gives a little Carrie, but it also gives a little Samantha because she like will also really like get those
Mm.
playful jabs in. So I think she would just do a really good job.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I
But
think they definitely need someone who's fun, someone who can hold their own, and I think I'm like, "Ooh, I like the idea of Andy." Just like yeah, he's such a great
yeah,
host, but I'm like,
he
would he
is.
do a dating reality show?
I mean, the man's
Do you
probably more
think?
about money than anything.
Right, and it probably
So,
also depends on the network, right? Like, it depends on, like, who
right,
picks it up. Yeah.
exactly. So it's like,
Yeah.
is this going to go to HBO? Could it go to
Right.
Peacock? Because 50 somethings,
Right.
I mean, the 50 something ladies are living it up on Peacock.
Mm.
So
Right. Right.
I don't see it being a bad place to put it. Um,
Mm-mm.
all right. Are there any existing reality shows now that you want this show to be like?
Hmm. I guess when you mentioned Love Trip Paris, that made me re like, because 'cause I'm like, are there many where it's, like, 4 people all dating at the same time in the same pool?
Mm, so I would say F Boy Island, but there it's not the same
Mm.
pool. Like very early on, the women take their pick of the men.
Mm.
So
Got it.
there's that. But yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, but I'm, like, in love Love Trip Paris, there is like very little or no sex, right?
Yeah, which we haven't actually talked
Right.
about. That's something, it's something that I think I was debating on putting like as what's necessary for the show to feel like Sex and the City. It seems very obvious it's the sex, but I'm like also so on the like line of that because
Mhm.
I some of these reality shows exploit these people. Well, all reality shows are exploitive, but like sexually, like Love is
Yeah.
Blind is
Mhm.
very guilty of
Mhm.
like there's a camera in the bedroom, just
Mhm.
you're hoping it's there to pick up conversations, but lately it's also been showing like sex between partners who've been together for years before being on the show, like the
Mhm.
ultimatum, and then
Oh,
the new
yeah.
partners. And it's like,
Mhm.
I feel like I'm intruding. So
Mhm.
I don't want sex scenes, but then it's like, all right, then if these women are talking about the date and the sex, and you're talking about whether or not this guy's like dick
Mhm.
is big or not, like that also feels really upsetting for
Mhm.
like the men. So it's like,
Mhm.
what's the balance?
Right. Right. And I'm like, I know I keep harping on this point, but like it also depends on the network that picks them up, right? Because if it's a Peacock, it's definitely going to be a bit more conservative, like of what they'll, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, unless it's on the streaming app only, but still, it's like
Mm-hmm.
Peacock, Peacock, what's on Peacock and what's on Max can be kind of different, versus like if
Mm-hmm.
they were on a platform like Max, it would definitely be like all the way or potentially because I'm like,
Yep.
Netflix has even felt like they've pushed it a lot
Yep.
with like Love is
Netflix is really
Blind and The
dancing.
Ultimatum. Yeah. Cause I'm like, earlier seasons of Love is Blind didn't feel that sexually forward as the ways in which, and then like finding out after this last season that like things like the shower scene is like the producers like want like contestants to do that scene. I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's weird. Like, like
Mm-hmm.
it's not organically happening. I don't know why you're pushing people to make that happen. Yeah.
Right. Right. So I don't know. I think but there has to be sex in some way of like maybe the one way to really do it is like what are these women in their 50s looking for now when it comes to
Right.
sex and making it like personal and that way and playful and like
Right.
yeah still showing that they're sexual beings
Right.
and yeah they
Right.
yeah
Right.
so that might be the balance
Yeah. And I think
lastly
like oh, sorry, I was gonna
no no
say
no
with like if there is a Samantha type, I think she'll be able to maybe bring that type of energy, right? Because it's like she might just want to like have like a boy toy. I hate that phrase, but like she just might want to have a boo where they're just like they have a lot of chemistry and they have a lot of sex and fun and they're not trying to like get serious and run off into the
Mm-hmm.
sunset. Um
Mm-hmm.
because it's like I don't want the show to be about these group of 50-year-old women who are all trying to race to the altar again. I'm like that's not the vibe or
Yeah.
the energy.
Yeah. Well, if they have a Charlotte type, she's definitely doing that.
Right.
But
Right.
everyone else, like I
Right.
could it's really all over the place because yeah, people in their 50s are just people. So just
Right.
like in your 20s, you can find someone who really is rushing towards the aisle while someone else is so focused on their career or just want to
Right.
have fun. Like there's also people who are like Whoopi Goldberg, who's like, I don't want someone in my house.
Right. Right.
Someone else just made a headline too that was like,
Yes.
actually, I'm done. Who was
Supermodel.
that?
It was like a supermodel, I can't remember, but she was like,
Yeah.
"Don't, like, breathe around me," or something, or like, I don't want yeah.
Linda Evangelista.
There we go, yeah,
Yeah, Linda Evangelista says she's done dating. I don't want to sleep with anyone, let alone hear somebody breathing.
literally. Not I don't wanna hear them breathing.
Don't want to hear. That's actually kind of real though. Like you just had a really bad breakup if you
Mhm.
reached the point that it was like, why am I hearing you breathing?
Right.
Like,
Right.
that's a very real feeling, and it's wild that
Or
she's just
sh
like,
right.
all men, I don't want to hear breathe.
Right. Yeah, I think we're just, like, in a new era where, like, women who are older are just being honest about,
Mm-hmm.
like, love and marriage and dating. Because even Sheryl Lee Ralph just said that her and her husband are moving in together for the first time in 20 years. They've been married for, like, 20 years, you know?
That's like kind of a different circumstance because she was like, we have lived together at different points, but their
Right.
careers are so that
Right.
they're used to living separately. But
Right. But
yeah.
I think often in Hollywood, women feel the pressure to like perform like they're still the
Mm-hmm.
perfect wife and like uphold
Mm-hmm.
it, even though their life and their career obviously a lot of times doesn't like make it logistically easy or like even make sense to like
Yep.
uphold this like perfect wife life, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it's like really cool that more people are coming forward and being like, that didn't work for me, so we didn't do it. Like, I have my life, my husband has his life, and we're doing it differently. Or like women being like, I don't want to date, I'm good, I'm having fun. Like, I don't want to do this. I think it's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. Um, I think that is what I had
Yeah.
for this talk. My last question is, are you gonna watch this?
I think as someone, so you were like, Quita's the perfect person to talk about reality TV. I'd be really like, about dating shows. Either I love them or I don't. And I think it's like
Yeah.
Love is Blind and The Ultimatum are just so out there that I'm like,
Yep.
yes, I'm tuning in. So I think with this one, I would try it. And depending on the vibes of the first episode or two, I would determine if I would keep watching or not.
Okay. Okay. I will probably cover it for this podcast. I will probably also be really searching for someone who would want to do it with me.
Yeah.
Probably have you hop on the very first.
Yes. Be like,
um,
what's the vibe giving?
Rami Day, she was my host for every episode of And Just Like That. She doesn't really do dating shows because she can't handle the
Mm.
anxiety of like
Oh,
what's about to happen.
got it.
Um, but I would try to work her a bit to try.
Yeah. So it's like The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, like those type of vibes, I'm just not into it. Even though back
Yeah,
in the day I was into like Tila Tequila or something, but I think
yeah.
that was just like
You
so
need
messy.
chaos.
I need
Exactly.
chaos, right? Thank you for identifying that in me. I need chaos. So I'm
Yes.
like, if they have a Samantha who's being a little bit chaotic, I'm in
Mm-hmm.
there. If it's a
Yeah.
bunch of like nice 50-year-old women who are just trying to have a nice time, I'm like, I don't know if I can sit here.
Yeah, yeah. I honestly think I'm kind of similar because I did not tune in at all for Golden Bachelor. Everyone was like, it's
Mhm.
so good. I'm crying happy tears. I'm like, great for you. But that's just not where I'm at. Especially that The
No.
Bachelor's 2 hours. Like, I can't. Wait,
Wow, I didn't know
is
that.
that true?
I don't watch the show, so I don't.
That might not be true, but I feel like they just sometimes they do these longer episodes and I'm like, I'm already been here. I've already been giving hours of my life. Like, please don't ask
Mhm.
for more.
Right.
But then again, I'm watching BB Reindeer Games right now, and those
Oh, that's
episodes.
you're definitely giving your life. Yeah.
Not that being the reaction. You said,
Oh. Well,
whoa.
it's like Big Brother, my ex was really into Big Brother and just like
Hmm.
it's like the commitment because it's like
Yep.
you literally have 20 almost 24/7 access to these people living in this
Yep.
house, and I'm just like, the
Yep.
live feeds and like I'm just like, "Whoa, that's
I mean,
commitment."
there's no live feeds with BB Reindeer Games,
Okay,
so
okay,
there. But yeah, I'm
got
I'm
it.
gonna cut this short. So for all the people who are like, I'm here for Sex in the City and
Yeah,
not
sorry, y'all,
for
sorry.
BB Reindeer Games.
Reindeer.
But I will say, for those who have some crossover, if there's any chance of that, I am trying to work on interviews for BB Reindeer games. Yeah, if it doesn't happen, I am writing about it on Collider, so you can check that out. Yeah, so that is it. Quita, where do you want people to follow you? Is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can follow me on Instagram at hello_Quita, Quita. And then also in 2024, I will be launching TBD, a podcast called Grassroots University, where you can get schooled by the people. It'll be a grassroots political education or popular education podcast that covers social, political, and like major events throughout history and the current day.
Love that. I love
Nerd.
that idea. Yeah, very much. And I love it. And for me, guys, I am Nikki Bernice across socials, Nikki Bernice, Insta, TikTok, all that. But most importantly, I hope you do follow Black by Reality across socials. And yeah, could just stay tuned for whatever content we have coming up. Like I said, I'm working on BB Reindeer games. Hopefully I hear something. And that is about it for now. Oh, Love is Blind. Did you see that the new season's coming?
No. What? Not me
Your
perking
face.
up. Like, what?
Yeah.
6. Okay.
We are getting a 7, so it was renewed for that, but 6 is coming on Valentine's Day. We got a date announcement. Yeah. Will you be back to talk about season 6?
Yes! Wow. My commitment. My personal commitment.
Yay! So yeah, all right. That's another plug then. So
Right.
keep in touch with both of these channels. Stay following because we're gonna do Love is Blind season 6 if you're into it. And yeah, until next time, guys. I hope you guys are taking care of yourself, living your Black queer lives, or loving people who are living their Black queer lives. Have a good day.
Bye.